What you're about to listen to is probably going to be one of the most inspirational conversations that you're going to hear this year that focuses specifically on your health and your family's health, the younger people in your family. Today, we're speaking to a BMX Hall of Famer who has spent his entire life promoting the sport that he loves that everyone can get involved in. I purposefully did this interview over the phone so you can listen while you drive or while you take part in household cleaning or hobbies. There will be links below back to Hollywood Mike Miranda's podcast. There will be an awesome giveaway that coincides with this episode, so if you comment, you have entered. Thumbs up, please. We will give everybody about a month to comment and thumbs up and subscribe because we're going to do the giveaway live. Do not need to be present at the live stream to win, but you're going to have to respond. And from time to time, I will have reference material pop up on the screen to coincide with what Hollywood Mike Miranda is saying. Ladies and gentlemen, Hollywood Mike Miranda.
Hey there, this is Mike.
Howdy, Mike. This is Redheaded Step Stacker from Explore America channel.
Yeah, Red. Hey, this is Hollywood Mike Miranda from the Dirty Knobs podcast.
And BMX Hall of Famer and a track operator. And that's the main reason I'm calling you today, because I know you're the man to answer a lot of questions that parents and grandparents and kids are going to have about getting into BMX.
Well, I'd love to help you out in any way I can. You know, we're all part of the big BMX family.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
I do feel like I'm in the club when I call you Hollywood.
Yeah, my man, you are. You're in the club now. You're definitely in the club.
You know, I was really impressed. I don't know how young you were. You had a full-grown mustache. I believe you grew your first mustache in third grade, your Magnum TI.
So they say. So they say. It was junior high. It was like seventh grade. Seventh grade it started, and my sister gave me such a hard time, but I never shaved it. Until recently.
Sharing your faith in God in one of the videos, and I
yes,
wish
sir.
that I was that cool and had that much confidence to do that when I was that age. Remember what age you might have been? You were riding for Hutch at the time?
If I was writing for Hutch, because I started speaking with the Fellowship of Christian Athletes and Athletes in Action in 1983 was the first time I did it. And it was, I didn't realize what an opportunity I had until the first time I did it. And after the first time I did it, I knew that it was the right thing for me to do. It was a great, my dad, I was blessed with fantastic parents. And my dad had taught me is God gives everybody a talent, and what you do with that talent is how you repay him. And so, wow. To quote my dad, it had always had an effect on me. So if God gave me the ability and a testimony, it's my job to share it. And I'm very fortunate to this day to be able to be a positive influence, or to at least entertain people and show them the difference between living a good life and living one that's not God-centered. So I always give thanks and appreciation for the set of rules that I live by that are given to me by the God that I worship.
Amen.
Yeah.
You're racing for yourself. There's not 8 men on the field, and it's
right.
You against yourself.
Exactly right.
But I realize that is a way to build character. I'm going to cut this part out, what I'm saying right now. If I don't get my butt back on a bike, I'm a dead man. I'm 330 pounds. And
well, listen, it just takes, you can say it just takes getting up and doing it. And whether it's preparing to get on a bike, right? Just preparing to get on a bike.
I thought that this conversation with you would help me get started in doing that, and a lot of other people that I know that have children that are probably not the correct weight and are unhealthy, and themselves also being that?
Well, it's certainly easier on your body, and those two things I'll tell you, and these are not words of advice. These are observations. So, brother, let me just tell you this. God created a beautiful world, and when we're driving along, we just get a glimpse of it. When we ride our bikes along, you really get an opportunity to take more of it in. More so than you would if you were walking, because let's face it, we're never going to walk the distance that we could ride a bicycle. So in the 40 minutes you would walk, imagine how much more of God's beauty you can see on a bicycle.
That's true. I watched a beaver chomping on a tree riding my mountain bike back then.
I was a late bloomer. I didn't blossom until after quite a few years of racing. But it didn't matter that I lost. It didn't matter that I was losing races, because I was winning in experience, and I was winning with making friends. And when my time came, I made the most of it.
How long did it take before you won your first race or even played?
Oh my gosh. It took a year before I got my first trophy, which was a consolation trophy. I didn't win my first race for a couple of years. But I tried really hard. And there's a funny story, is that my dad only took me to a few races. My dad only saw me race a few times. But it was maybe the fourth or fifth time where he took me to the races, and he drove up and parked on the side of the hill right by the second turn. And as I was coming around the track in my first two motos, I was in last place as normal, and I would take my hand off the handlebar and I would wave to my dad. And when I came around the third moto, I took my hand off to wave to my dad, and he was gone. My dad left me at the track. He drove home and left me at the BMX track. And when I rode home 13 miles on my BMX bike. And when I got home, I said to my dad, I walked in, I go, "Dad, what happened?" And he looked at me and he said, "Mijo," which means my son, "Mijo, I couldn't watch." He goes, "You're no good." And let me tell you, brother, that was the biggest motivator. He pushed my buttons, and from that day on, I'm not going to say it was less fun, but maybe I didn't concentrate on having so much fun, and I actually started training. I actually started practicing on how to get faster. So it was great, and it was because of that I spent a little more time doing gate starts, actually honing my craft to win races, not just to have fun.
Now, Cheri Elliot, I'm quoting her from her Hall of Fame speech. And for people who don't know Cheri Elliot, she is a BMX Hall of Famer and an X Games gold medalist. Do I have that correct?
You do, and in my opinion, the greatest amateur racer ever.
She's bad.
The most dominant amateur racer ever, and that's including male and female. She dominated. And as much as a Hall of Fame racer as she is even bigger and better as a Hall of Fame human being. Just a wonderful person that makes the world better every day. How much she gives back to her community and how much she does for charity, she's just a wonderful person and a great example of a true champion.
In her speech, she said, "How does a 9-year-old girl get into BMX?" And her answer is different because she already had a family that was in that sport. But how does a girl or boy, a 9-year-old, a parent that has no idea about BMX, how do they get into that sport?
Well, the first thing to do is make sure that the child has a bike, that the kid has a bike to ride. It's not absolutely necessary, but if you have one, it's a little safer. So if you have a bike to ride or borrow, to learn how to ride a bicycle before you ever go to a BMX track is a huge step up. Most BMX tracks will have loaner bikes and loaner helmets. So the next step, I would say, is when you get to that part, is that you go on the website, usabmx.com, and there'll be a tab that says Find a Local Track. You just put in your zip code, and they'll tell you where the local track is in your community. I'd always suggest drive out take the kid out there and drive out there and look the first time. Watch the first time. Let them overcome any fear that they might have or any anxiety. And then, if they feel up to it that time, great. If not, go back a second time. And if you don't have a bike, borrow one. But if you have a bike, get a bike and a helmet and get out there and ride. And I strongly suggest, if at all possible, ride with your child. That nothing overcomes fear more than not doing it by yourself. So go with them. And listen, you're never too old to try. My dad never rode a BMX bike. Oh my gosh, thinking about seeing my dad ride a BMX would have been hilarious. But now I always encourage parents to do it because I think it's something that the family can do together. So if find a track on usabmx.com and go out to your local track. There'll be plenty of people there to help you.
And am I wrong when I say that like a 30-year-old mom or a 50-year-old grandpa can also get into BMX racing if they wanted to?
Absolutely. There's no age limit on either end. There's you can ride a push bike, which is a bike without pedals for little kids. At 3 years old you can get out there. 2 years old you can get out there. All the way up to 70 something, 80 something. If you can walk around the block, you can ride around a BMX track. It's never too old to try.
And I think people might have fear about the investment, but I do understand that like some of the bigger companies do make frames that are mixed steel and chrome moly that are like around the 250, 300 range. Is that true? And is that something they can use at the beginning?
Oh, absolutely. There are complete bikes that both Mongoose and Huffy make that are entry-level bikes that are very, very cost-conscious. You can get a great value on a new bike for under $300, $250, that you can bring it out to the track. I would also encourage you that once you've decided that you want to do this, you can buy a used bike. That's the best thing because kids grow. And when people grow, the bike that they had is no longer doesn't fit anymore. So you can just buy bikes used off of the internet. They're readily available all across the country.
Is there coaching available at your facility, for instance, and your facility? At the Wheelhouse BMX in Prescott, Arizona, is like every track across the country in that there's always people willing to share what they know. We have a plethora of riders that are from pro all the way down to intermediate riders that'll help a beginner, and we're always willing. And it is the greatest thing about BMX, in my opinion, is that once you ride a BMX bike, you're in the BMX family. And so there's always people there to help you and support you because you're always going to be part of the family. You'll never be alone or by yourself ever again. That's cool. Now, there's across America, I'm talking to other parents. They're telling me about pump tracks, and they're popping up everywhere. What's a pump track?
So what a pump track is there is a line of usually paved or dirt, a line of small roller jumps that you don't actually leave the air. Your wheels stay on the ground, and typically they're built by the municipality or city that hires somebody to come in and build it to make it safe and rideable for kids and parents of all ages. And those are popping up all around the country. Sometimes they're made of dirt, sometimes they're made of asphalt, but they're fun to ride. And it's a great place to hone your skills, and fun for the family to do. And
is it true that because I've never been on one, the idea behind the pump track is kind of the same as like being on a swing with your legs and using your legs, not pedaling, using your legs like you would if you were on a swing or something like that?
Oh my gosh, it's similar, except for you're not using just your legs. It's upper body, lower body, and you'd think you don't pedal, but you'd think that you've ran a marathon after you've done a couple laps because it does use your whole body to gain speed and maintain your speed. So it's a great workout. And it's safe because, like I said, you're not getting up in the air, and you can manage your speed just by how much you pump. So it's fun for the whole family.
So in BMX, there's beginner, intermediate, and expert in all the different age categories. Say the kid spends the summer at, riding the track for fun, and the next year he wants to get into it. When does BMX season start?
Well, it's different for everywhere, right? Every track has their own schedule. Some track, depending on weather, whether it's an indoor or outdoor track. So you may have tracks that run year-round because of the location in the country where they have great year-round weather. You may have places that are closed for the winter because the snow on the ground. And then there's other places that have an indoor facility or a covered facility where they can race all year long. Again, once you go to that website, usabmx.com, and you find your track, then you can click on there and look at their schedule, and they'll tell you when they run.
Is there anything that I missed that is important that parents should know before I get into my other round?
Absolutely. I'll tell you that something important for the parents to know is that it's a sport and it's a family sport, but you're really there to have fun and learn life lessons. So you shouldn't take it too serious. I know there's an expense to it. There's an expense to buy in to get a bike and all that. But when you look back on this from 20 years from now, you want to think about your little son or daughter had a great time. Sure, they're going to learn life lessons, but make sure they have a good time. Make it a positive experience for them and for yourself. That's an important lesson, I think.
That's beautiful. I noticed that most of your friends back then are the same friends you have now, but you were pretty close to all the families. You were like you were hanging, you were spending the night at this, this BMX racer's house and that BMX racer's house, and you got to know all the families, and it seems like all the moms and dads kind of got to know each other.
One of the best parts of BMX, one of the best parts about BMX, then and now, is, like I've said, is you do feel like you're part of a family. Because of when I was very young, my mother was ill and wasn't able to travel. My father was her caretaker, so he didn't travel that much. He didn't travel either. So at an early age, when I became good enough to travel and race, I did. And so I was reliant on sponsors and on families. And I'll tell you, there are so many BMX families around the world that took me in that I've remained a family member ever since. And they're all part of my family, too. The best part about BMX, really, again, I can't say it enough, is feeling like you belong to a family.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And you even had a woman in Sweden that knitted you a sweater in the Hutch colors?
In Holland, actually. A woman in Holland knitted a jersey. It was a sweater that looked like a Hutch jersey. Fantastic. It was my greatest possession of all. The greatest thing I ever got out of BMX was that sweater. Can you believe somebody did that? How nice.
Yeah, no, I can't believe somebody did that. That is beautiful. And she must have been fast with them sticks, man. She had to size you up first.
I didn't remember my arms being that long after I put it on, but hey, it was awesome. It was awesome.
That's cool. Okay.
Hey, I said earlier about having family all over, and I do. And the best part for me is I have brothers. I have brothers that I love as though they were my blood brothers. And most importantly, I have a twin brother, Tommy Brackens, another Hall of Famer. We moved out of each other's parents' house for the first time and moved in together. So it was really a growing experience, and we both learned a lot. I learned what a clean bedroom was supposed to look like, and he learned, I guess he learned patience is what he learned.
It was the odd couple, Felix.
Oh my God! It was such the odd couple. It was Oscar and Felix, and it was the greatest time of my life, and we had the best time. And like I said, we're not brothers; we're twin brothers.
I've seen Tommy Bracken. He's a bat out of hell when the gate drops.
Oh my gosh. Well, they call him the human dragster for a reason. He is.
Oh.
There was no one faster from point A to point B, and to that day, no one nicer. The nicest human being I know. He is my twin brother, and if I stub my toe, he says ouch.
That's cool. I have watched every single episode more than once of Dirty Knobs podcast, and maybe what I'm about to say could be applied to a lot of moms, but to be in the BMX Hall of Fame, you have to contribute to the sport. And I was wondering, could Eric Carter's mom, who I know recently passed away, be nominated for the Hall of Fame? Because of the stories that I've heard, she's had her hand in most of your guys' lives. She's affected all of you positively.
Well, the BMX Hall of Fame has an industry category. They have yet to come up with a super parent category. If there was, she would absolutely be first year nomination. She is, Mrs. Carter was like there's BMX moms like that all over. We just happen to be in a little tight knit community where she happened to influence so many people that ended up in the Hall of Fame. But I'll tell you, there's Hall of Fame moms, there's Hall of Fame mom and dads, and Hall of Fame parents out there all across the world that BMX would not happen without them. And it's still to this day a community sport. It doesn't happen without the support and the volunteers. So yes, Mrs. Carter was the greatest. She was certainly our number one fan, and we love her and miss her. But there's still lots of moms and dads out there that make the difference in the lives of all of us.
And those 70s and 80s moms, there would be no BMX without those 70s and 80s moms and dads.
I made it into the sport because of the support of others. It wasn't my talent, it was the continued support of everyone else. It was a community effort for me to be good because I had to get rides to races. I mooched food from people. I did whatever I could, and people were glad to do it, glad to help me and support me through my racing because they saw the effort I was putting in and being a good guy, trying my best to be a good person. I think that helped me that helped me just as much as how hard I tried to race and how good I was me trying to be such a good person. I think getting kids on bikes is always a great idea. I think that nutrition is only half of the battle. The other half of the battle is exercise. And how much more exercise do you do when you enjoy it? I know for me, riding my bike was my entire life, and I loved it, and I still do.
National Rad Day, the movie in the movie theaters, is going to be March 20th, 2025. I read online. So that movie will be available, and that's a movie that you were in as a stunt rider and as yourself.
That's right.
Yeah, so parents can bring their kids to the movie and see if that movie inspires those kids to go out. And I think that's what did it for most people. I was already riding BMX by the time that movie came out. It would be a great weekend. March 20th, I think that's a Saturday, to go to the local movie theater that's showing that movie in the area and see Hollywood Mike Miranda and a bunch of other legends and Hall of Famers.
Well, I can tell you, I'll be at a theater somewhere. I don't know where yet, but I'll be at a theater that day.
I appreciate very much your time and your experience and your knowledge. And I'm going to work a little bit harder to get that money together to get that Radical Rick 2023 bike that is 50% off on one of those BMX websites. That's what I'm looking at, that Haro. One of the Haros. I don't know. I want 24-inch, but you know how big I am. It's the same tube length. The top tube is the same length. And if you had to guess, would I be happier on a 26?
Yes. And it's not a guess. Yes. You'd be happier on a 26.
Okay.
You'll ride it more. you'll ride it more. And that's what matters.
That's what matters. You're right. You're right. What I hate about the mountain bike is that I'm leaning forward and then I get the numbness in my palms. And I don't think that'll be the case on a BMX style frame because I didn't get that problem as a kid. I wasn't leaning forward.
Yeah, that's right. You'll sit on. Well, what will happen is the first thing that'll get sore will be your sit bones, right? But it'll come with a comfier saddle. So make sure your saddle's high enough so you can get a nice, comfortable ride without killing your hands. And build up. Don't go big. Go often.
Very cool.
You promise me. Don't go big. Go often. Because if you go out and ride if you go far and ride hard the first couple of times, you'll get sore and you'll get hurt. It will hurt. And, dude, then you won't want to do it anymore. So go small, leave yourself wanting more, and so the next time you go out, you'll satisfy that, and each time build a little bit more, just a little bit more. Let me ask you a question. Are you walking now?
Yes. Based on my job, I walk a lot at night.
Okay, good. Good. You start there. Start with walks. Get your cardiovascular and your leg muscles and your hip joints, all of that loosened and ready to go, so that when you get on your bike, when you get your bike and you get on it, you don't kill yourself the first time, because that's a big mistake people make. So I don't want that, man. I want you to be healthy and motivated, and I'm looking forward to riding with you.
Yeah, I do you know the dates? Have you announced the dates for the Dirty Knobs Fest this year?
Dirty Fest is June 6th, 7th, and 8th.
June 6th, 7th, and 8th.
June 6th, 7th, and 8th in Temecula, California. And do you live in Chicagoland?
Yes.
All right. Well, the next time I come out, you and I are going to get together.
That would be awesome.
Oh, I promise you. This is a promise. When I come out next time, you and I are going to get together. Well, brother, keep on keeping on. Keep on keeping on. And we'll keep in touch.
This is the year, Mike, that I'm going to get my junior high school crush. Yeah, that's definitely my goal. And I do appreciate the inspiration on that. But I am taking that one. That's what I'm doing now. Okay, I had one more I scratched off the list. I'm going to throw it at you just for fun. If you had a BMX time machine, where and when would you go?
1977 Corona Raceway, junior high school BMX team. That's when I would go.
Sweet.
When we were we were riding at the track and just having fun. It was all we cared about was getting back to the track and riding fun at Corona Raceway.
Wow, you just brought the whole interview full circle.
Red, thank you for the opportunity. Thanks for the time. And I'll tell you this, brother. Thanks for being part of the BMX family.
I'm sorry we went a little long.
No. I love the opportunity. Like I said to you said it, how you want to come full circle. God gave me the gift of the life I have. My dad told me, he said, what I do with it is how I repay God. So I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to share how good my life has been and what BMX has done for me. And I hope that it gives the opportunity to other people to get out there and be part of the family and have a great time.
It will, because this is going to live on YouTube for as long as they're in business.
Awesome.
Mike, thank you very much for your time. I hope you have a beautiful Valentine's Day with your bride.
Thank you, my man. I'm sure it will be great. And a shout out to my boyhood friend Michael Miller on his birthday.
And I will catch you every other Sunday on the Dirty Knobs podcast on YouTube. And the link is below for anyone who wants to check it out in the description.
BMX bikes come in several different sizes now for adults. The 20-inch tire size is the original that was made for children. There is 24-inch, 26-inch, and 29-inch. As you heard, Mike Miranda recommended that I try a 26-inch, which is more for cruising, but much more comfortable than a mountain bike. 24-inch is for you guys who still like to do tricks and ride a little swirly, a little less smooth than a 26 or 29-inch. And 29-inch is a smooth ride just for cruising. Check your local bike store and try out the different sizes